Hey everybody, it's GombletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena. Today I'm going to be playing the Midweek Magic event for the week, the Historic All Access event. For those who don't know, Midweek Magic is a weekly event that occurs every Tuesday and Wednesday that allows you to play a free event for a couple random rare rewards and a mystery cosmetic. It's going to be a different format each week, so it's nice to spice things up with it, as well as get some free rewards. And the particularly cool events that they managed to bring on are the events like Historic All Access here, where you get to play with any card on Arena. Just bring any historic deck, no matter what's in your collection. You get to try out some decks that you don't own the cards for yet, so you can decide if you're trying to get into Historic what you'd like to spend your wild cards on. So I highly recommend this event for people that are new to Historic and want to try it out a bit. You can change your deck as much as you want to try out a variety of decks here, and yeah, it should be a pretty fun time. So the deck I'm going to try out for this event is an Azorius Affinity deck. And as you can see, I don't own all the cards for the deck. I do need some wild cards, so I am getting some value out of this event as well. And we'll show off what the deck is all about here. This is an Azorius aggro deck, so a blue-white aggro deck focused around playing a lot of cheap artifact creatures, cheap artifact spells in general, to help buff cards like Nettlecyst that care about the amount of artifacts you have on the board, buff cards like Ingenious Smith that get +1/+1 counters whenever an artifact enters the battlefield under your control, and reduce the cost of cards like Thought Monitor, which costs 1 less to cast for each artifact you control. So Thought Monitor, while it says it's a 7-drop, it's often only 2 or 3 mana in this deck for a 2/2 flyer that draws 2 cards when it enters the battlefield, which is an absolutely excellent deal. Another one of the ways that you could help reduce that cost is Treasure Vault, which is an artifact land, which is really cool. Just a land that helps your affinity cards cost less to cast. Unfortunately, Thought Monitor, I believe, is the only good affinity card on Arena, so it's the only one in the deck. There are some other cute little combos, like the Black Staff of Waterdeep to turn your non-creature artifacts into 4/4s, but other than that, that's the gist of the deck. Play a bunch of cheap artifact creatures and non-creature artifacts in general to buff some Nettlecysts and some Ingenious Smiths and just beat your opponent up real quick with a very aggressive deck. So without further ado, let's go see if we can get those 3 wins in this week's Midweek Magic event. Here we are, round 1. Looks like we're against a Gigantha deck. That is the 5-color companion. The hybrid green-red 5-mana 5/5 that taps for 1 mana of every color. So will be really interesting to see what our opponent's playing here. A lot of the companions, you do run them just if your deck happens to have no cards with more than one of the same mana symbol, then it's like, well, I might as well run Gigantha. There's no reason not to. So it doesn't necessarily say a lot about what the deck's doing, but we'll see. All right. I'm going to go ahead and play this Hengegate Pathway on white to get our Esper Sentinel down so we can draw cards if our opponent tries to cast more cheap non-creature artifacts. I'm also going to dump out an Ornithopter to get rid of its summoning sickness as quickly as possible so we could slam a Nettlecyst down and maybe equip the Ornithopter or any other equipment to be bashing with that Ornithopter too. And this also helps cast our Reverse Engineer a bit early, potentially. We do have 2 artifacts out, so we have 4 mana towards casting Reverse Engineer right now. But not going to be enough to cast it here, nor is it going to be enough to cast Nettlecyst, so we'll just play a tapped land and attack for 1. Looks like potentially a Temur Energy deck here, which is really cool, if it is, because that was a deck that I ran in Standard during Kaladesh Standard, one of the few times I actually played Standard. Temur Energy was the deck I ran, and yeah, this looks legitimately like what I would have ran. I see Attune with Ether and Rogue Refiner to get those energy tokens. These Temur Energy decks, they kind of just sit here getting good value off cards like Attune with Ether, just pulling a land into their hand, Rogue Refiner drawing a card when it hits the board. Just some decent little value plays in the early game, but then later on, all of a sudden, they're dumping out some big energy card and just loading it up with all those energy tokens to get absolutely absurd plays going. So Bristling Hydra is one of the really good cards. That's a 4 mana 4/3, and it comes with 3 energy, and they can spend 3 energy to put a permanent +1/+1 counter on it and give it hexproof till end of turn. So that was a great resilient threat that you had against more controlling builds that were running a lot of removal. So that was really good. Long Tusk Cub was sweet. That was probably the best 2-drop in the deck. A 2 mana 2/2 that gets 2 energy every time it hits your opponent, and you can spend 2 energy to put a +1/+1 counter on it. So that was a great top deck late game when you've got all this energy sitting there. It just turns into a really big creature for only 2 that gets bigger every time it hits your opponent. A lot of really fun energy cards in the deck. Definitely a deck I was an avid player of. However, some of the cards in it got banned because it was very good. But in Historic, it is against some fierce competition, so it should be pretty fair here. So I'm going to pre-combat go ahead and play Barbed Spike and hold up a Metallic Rebuke for a counterspell. Playing the Barbed Spikes, so we get 2 more artifacts on the board, make Nettlecyst now a 5/5 germ here to attack with. So it can attack into Rogue Refiner pretty well. And there's a Harness Lightning. That is going to give them 3 energy. And then they spend as much energy as they want to do that much damage to the creature. So here they'll get 3 energy and then spend 3. I am going to go ahead and rebuke that. Counter that unless they pay 3 mana, because they won't have 3 mana up. So we can keep our nice 5/5 germ out, and it should be pretty hard for them to kill here. Now, one of the cards we'd be worried about that they could have would be a Confiscation Coup. That's a 5 mana card that I think gives them 4 energy, and then they spend however much energy they want to steal a card with converted mana cost equal to the energy they spent. So for 3, they could take the Nettlecyst from us and then equip it to Rogue Refiner or something so that our germ dies permanently. We'll never get the Nettlecyst back. So as you can see, that's one of the things that's like really cool about the energy decks is they're just so flexible. Like there's so many different cards that are just like, well, spend however much energy you want. So sometimes you'll cast a Harness Lightning just to kill a 1 toughness creature, and then you have that extra energy left over to dump into something else at a later time. Really cool deck. Ooh, Prismari Command as the draw. Nice flexible card, and it's going to be really good against us because you can just straight destroy an artifact. So that's going to be a bit of a bummer when we see that. Portable Hull's not a super great draw here because we do not have anything to exile with it. I think I want to go ahead and reverse engineer. And I do want to tap down the equipment, because tapping down the equipment doesn't do anything. And then I would like to hold up my last land for mana, so I can move Nettlecyst around. It costs 2 to re-equip it. Ooh, Treasure Vault's a great draw. Nettlecyst gets bigger. We can play Shadow Spear, Nettlecyst gets bigger. But we can also just move Nettlecyst to our flying token here to attack for a boatload in the sky, rather than attack with a 7/7 on the ground, because then they can chump block it. I think I'd rather get guaranteed damage here than let them chump block. Sure, we lose this germ permanently, but we're about to lose this Nettlecyst anyway. So let's get that guaranteed hit for 8 there. They're down to 6. Even when they blow up our Nettlecyst and our flying token here, they can go ahead and destroy an artifact and deal 2 damage to the Thopter it's attached to. Looks like they're going to kill the Esper Sentinel instead, because that card has been bugging them, taxing them on all their non-creature spells, and nobody likes taxes. Racing us here because all our stuff has flying. Black Staff of Waterdeep. Non-token artifact control becomes a 4/4. As long as it remains untapped. Use this on our Treasure Vault and go for lethal here. We don't have any counterspells, so if they can stop this from happening, they'll get there. And they cannot. That's going to be lethal. And I didn't even realize, because this is my first time playing the deck, as you can tell by the lack of some of these cards. just in my collection in general. I didn't even realize this just targets a non-token artifact, so it can target a creature. You can just target your Ornithopter and make your Ornithopter a permanent 4/4 flyer. So I probably should have done that instead of the Treasure Vault. Just they're both flying. That's a little extra good there. But yeah, Black Staff of Waterdeep coming in for lethal off the top. Really nice. And our first random rare reward is a Mirror Hall Mimic from Crimson Vow. Here we are on the play. We've got a turn 2 Barbed Spike. It's our only creature, which is a bit awkward, but we have tons of artifacts to drop down, which is going to make Reverse Engineer be a pretty cheap way to refuel. We are going to need to hit another blue source to cast it, though. That could be a bit awkward. Let's see how things go here. I'm going to play the Shadow Spear turn 1. Maybe we'll be playing against a graveyard deck and wish we played Relic. Alright. Our opponent does not like what they drew into, or they don't like playing against artifact decks, I suppose. If they see a Spire of Industry, maybe they just want to scoop them up. Well, pretty strange, I guess. That'll be our second win. That is another thing that you will notice on occasion in the Midweek Magic events. There are definitely going to be players in here that aren't interested in these formats. There's certainly going to be players here that just want to get their free rares, and they're never going to play Historic in their life. So, sometimes you'll get some really fast concessions and stuff for that. But that just means quicker rares for us. And I just realized, I'm like, why isn't this a rare? It's just a daily win reward here. So let's see what our random rare is for our second win, and then move on to get that cosmetic. Ooh, we got a mythic rare. We got some luck here. It's Ren and 7, an absolutely absurd card in Standard. Nature grows. 5 mana, 5 loyalty Planeswalker, the biggest ability being that -3 to make a creature with reach and power and toughness equal to the number of lands you control. So on turn 5, that's a 5 mana 5/5, and it keeps getting bigger the more lands you play. It's really good with Essica's Chariot, which can copy any token you control, copy the Tree Folk token, and just go wild with a bunch of massive Tree Folk. So Ren and 7, quite a nice random reward there. Here we are now shooting for our third win. Interesting hand. Probably supposed to mulligan this, right? Because I'm just equipping a Shadow Spear to an Ornithopter and attacking for 1 every turn. I have to draw into something good, and I don't have any card draw in the hand. Don't know the deck super well, but I feel like this is a mulligan here. This looks better because we have Thought Monitors, but it is going to take quite a while to get those Thought Monitors onto the board. But I am still going to keep this and get rid of a... actually get rid of the Pathway here, because the beach will give us both colors of mana, and we don't really need an untapped source turn 2. So we're playing against a Lurrus deck, so this Relic of Progenitus should be pretty sweet. Exile their stuff as it goes into the graveyard to keep them from reanimating it with Lurrus's ability. So here's Lurrus over there. Lets them recast a permanent spell with mana value 2 or less from their graveyard once each turn. Actually would be a really fun commander to build around. Lurrus is a very powerful card in very many formats though, so people tend to get a little annoyed by Lurrus, but I think if it weren't for how strong Lurrus is in a lot of constructed formats, Lurrus is just a really cool card in general. So Selfless Savior, sure, you got it. So it's going to be Esper auras here, or just blue-white auras, looks like. So they're going to draw a card here and get flying. Attack in pretty hard. I just wish we had the counterspell up when they went for Spirit Dancer. I messed that one up by keeping the tapped land. Might even cost us the game here, because Spirit Dancer does get really big really fast. We should probably just counter this aura. It is a bit rough. They do still get the card draw off of it, but at least they're not going to have a 3-power Spirit Dancer here. Oh, maybe they will. That's another mana, another 1-mana aura. Yep. 3-power Spirit Dancer coming on in. Card is very good. +2/+2 for each aura attached to it, and you draw a card as you cast the auras, so you don't even go down in terms of card advantage. Looking like Core Spirit Dancer is going to take it here. Just some pretty not ideal hands from us. this game. Maybe should have mulliganed twice here. This hand is really slow. The biggest punt definitely being keeping the tapped land over the untapped land, because while I didn't need an untapped mana on turn 2, it would have allowed me to cast a Metallic Rebuke and counter that Core Spirit Dancer. And maybe live more than like 3 turns. And I missed a Relic of Progenitus trigger. But I don't believe it'll matter. They probably won't even be casting Lurrus this game by the time I die. Dead to one more hit. Oh, Portable Hole. They cannot stop that with Selfless Savior giving Indestructible. Portable Hole exiles. That is going to be really good on the Spirit Dancer. They have Sentinel's Eyes that they can recast from the grave by exiling the other 2 cards in the grave. But I can shut that off with just one more Relic of Progenitus trigger here. And then I still have the mana up to use the 1 mana ability to exile everything in their grave if necessary. So yeah, they don't have enough in grave to recast the Sentinel's Eyes anymore. Past the turn, we're only taking 2. Maybe I called it early here. We might still have a chance. They did draw a card every time they cast an aura though, so they still have a full grip. All depends on what they've drawn into. Another Core Spirit Dancer. Well, that's going to be a problem because I have spent my rebukes just at containing the first Spirit Dancer. Yep, so Ether Tunnel resolves. Attack for 3 with these 2. Down to 7. Shadow Spear's the draw. We could tap everything for Reverse Engineer. We just die next turn. They Sentinel's Eyes onto Core Spirit Dancer. That's 3 for 5, 6. I guess maybe not. Shadow Spear doesn't do anything to the board state, and we won't be able to cast Thought Monitor after we cast it. Anyway, Thought Monitor would cost 3. We'd have 2 mana up. So Reverse Engineer is kind of the only option. Do we hit a mana for another Relic? Or do we want to exile this one? And just playing another Relic should be enough. We've got nothing up here, so it's quite likely they have the auras in hand to find lethal here. We'll find out soon enough. So I didn't even know blue-white auras was a thing. I thought it was still all about the Orzhov auras, the black-white auras. But again, I'm very much not generally a historic player. I'm just in here for the Midweek Magic stuff. So had no idea what I was playing against, seeing a Lurrus and blue-white from our opponent. Now that I know, we definitely could have played this game better, just holding every metallic rebuke up at all times for Core Spirit Dancers. Making sure to have that untapped land on turn 2. We might have had a different game on our hands there, because even playing as poorly as I did, just rebuking a bunch of individual auras, almost got to the point where we could cast a Thought Monitor. Now, it wouldn't have mattered at that point, but if you imagine I had 2 rebukes in hand, if I'd held up the mana for them, for the 2 Core Spirit Dancers that we know that they had in hand, then maybe the hand would be slow enough for us to survive to the point where we do start dropping Thought Monitors. And they chain together really well, because the first Thought Monitor makes the next one cheaper, and so on after that. They all draw 2 cards and really get you a lot of stuff, so I don't know. Maybe if I knew what I was doing, we'd have a chance that game, but either way, pretty well played by our opponent with a really nice deck there. Alright, here we are again, trying to get that 3rd win for the cosmetic. We'll go ahead and play our Shadow Spear turn 1 here. We can't play Esper Sentinel turn 1. Our Spire of Industry doesn't tap for colored mana unless we have an artifact out. So just get that down so we're ready to play the Esper Sentinel, but it's probably going to be a goner to this Thoughtseize here. Or the Thought Monitor. Don't think they'd get rid of a portable hull unless they have a ton of creatures that cost 2 or less. Alright, so they get rid of the Esper Sentinel. Now we don't have a play this turn because we just have portable hull. We should play our Treasure Vault to reduce our Thought Monitor's cost. That turn 1 Thoughtseize is going to be a big hindrance to our early game plans. Now we can't just have an Esper Sentinel out to slap our Shadow Spear onto. That would have been pretty nice. Priest of Fell Rites. Alright, well, just go ahead and portable hull that. That gives us something to do here. Unfortunately, we don't have double white, so I can't Ingenious Smith into portable hull. And I think it's going to be pretty easy to just portable hull here. Another Priest of Fell Rites. Alright, we'll do another one. We'll just keep it going. Oh, I wish I had my emotes on. So Ashiok resolves. Can't do anything about Ashiok. They're going to be milling themselves for some reanimator stuff. Ooh, yeah, they're going to try to reanimate a Sheoldred. That's going to be wild. This could be a really scary matchup. Let's go to Thought Monitor to draw some cards here, I think, because if we Nettle Cyst, we can't cast anything else. If we Ingenious Smith, we can't because we don't have the mana up. I guess we can't with Thought Monitor either, but it draws us some cards. Maybe sets up to cast 2 spells next turn, especially if we can get this Treasure Vault down. Do hit a land there, that's going to be pretty good. Late to dinner, there's the Reanimator. They're going to toss it on Sheoldred, bring it back to the board. That is going to make us sacrifice our Thought Monitor during our upkeep. During their upkeep, they reanimate another creature with Sheoldred. Could reanimate Sarah's Emissary there. We have to draw into our Relic of Prodigious, or it is game. So we need 2 Ingenious Smith. Hope for Relic here. There's Relic. So at least we don't die immediately to Sarah's Emissary coming in with protection from all our creatures. But it is still not going to be great. I think we just pop this right now, because we have to pop it for their upkeep. So yeah, they're going to get more milled off Ashiok, but at least we stop 1 reanimate here, and we get a chump block on Sheoldred, since this creature is just going to die in our upkeep anyway. See what they want to Thoughtseize this time. Metallic Rebuke it is. Self-mill 4 cards. Well, they did hit a Priest of Fell Rites and Stitcher's Supplier. Not the biggest creatures ever, but they're creatures. They could reanimate with Sheoldred next turn. They're going to Faithful Mending, gain 2, discard 2. Gain 2, draw 2, discard 2. So they can discard a bigger creature from hand. Jin Kataxis and Elesh Norn. Alright, well, Ingenious Smith number 2 or 3 is going to have to dig into another relic, because now they're just going to get another Praetor back if we don't find another relic here. And this is definitely a chump block because our creature would die in our upkeep anyway. There's a Hallowed Fountain, so we can have the white mana to cast both Ingenious Smiths. Portable Hull, Blackstaff, Ornithopter, none of those do it for us. Should grab an Ornithopter, I guess, for cost reduction purposes, because it's free. Oh, don't tap the colored mana here. Alright, no relic. Thought Monitor, though, would be fine. But they are going to get back... They probably just get back Elesh Norn. That wipes our whole board. then they hit us for 8. Although if I play Ornithopter to Thought Monitor, the Smiths are 3/3, so they don't die to Elishnorn. I think I will go for that. Only triggers once per turn. Only triggers once per turn, but the only way I cast this Thought Monitor is if I play these out. Now I do have another Relic, but it's going to be too late. Elishnorn comes in, wipes the board. We take 8. So I think we probably were still supposed to go Ornithopter Thought Monitor there just to draw a couple cards. Just see if we can get anything to get out of this. But no, the reanimation popping off here. It's going to be game. I have the Relic now, but we dug to it once we ran out of mana. So an Esper Phyrexian Reanimator deck. Pretty cool stuff from our opponent. That is going to take it. Opponent on the play this time. Got a nice turn 1 Esper Sentinel here. We'll just go for that. Tyrant's Scorn to go ahead and kill it here, but we do draw a card off of it at least when they do that. And we've got a second here, a backup copy. Play it tap, get the backup down. Probably should have just paid 2 life and played the Black Staff here, so we don't get mana choked later on.
Those who cannot perceive keep an open mind.
Alright, so there's a Narset. We can't draw extra cards. We play a Black Staff and slap her with the Esper Sentinel. Seems pretty good to me. Also makes it really hard for them to pay the Esper Sentinel cost.
I must train harder.
And we just choose not to untap the Black Staff during our upkeep. Well, during our untap step, I should say. Alright, unless they kill the Sentinel, then we allow it to untap. Okay. So we're going to have 4 mana here. Probably Ingenious Smith, see what we draw. We're not going to have enough for Thought Monitor anyway. Although we could play Nettle Cyst instead. I like drawing the cards here. Let's get Ingenious Smith down. Nettle Cyst is not going to be that big. Unfortunately, we did not hit anything there. I am just going to drop a Portable Hole for no value, because I don't think there's anything in this matchup that's going to matter. So let's just get a counter on the Ingenious Smith and another Affinity down for Thought Monitor. And then we might play this... We might play this next Portable Hole for the same reason, but I do like having one of them in hand just in case. Plus, if we wanted to play both Portable Holes, we should still wait till next turn, because the Ingenious Smith only gets counters once per turn. Thoughtseize. Sure, there goes Thought Monitor. Could soak up some of their mana here, but rather save the Rebukes for something I could actually fully counter. Although now they know about the Rebukes, so it'll slow them down at least. That's something. So if nothing else, this Portable Hole can start hitting our opponent for 4, which is also cool. Let's just let's do that then. Get in there, Portable Hole. I don't know if I want to hold up Metallic Rebuke or just slam down Nettle Cyst. With them at 12 life, they're dead in 2 attacks. I kind of want to just hold up Metallic Rebuke in case they have like Blood on the Snow or something, some big 6 mana Wrath or something like that to counter. but I could see an argument for just dropping down Nettle Cyst, making them have it there. It would be a 3-3 to be attacking with. Thought Erasure? Well, that's a thing. There goes the Nettle Cyst. There's a backup. Alright, well, we'll cast this one. Oops. Should have cast it pre-combat. Again, I don't even own most of these cards, so gonna be some real rocky gameplay here. I'm sure you're all used to that already. So we slam down this Nettle Cyst because of the improvised cost of the Metallic Rebukes. We can still hold them up here and have the Nettle Cyst on board. Definitely missed out on a point of damage with that Smith this turn, though. Urbosa's Intervention holding 3 up. That will do it. They gain 3. They're at 9. 4, 5, 6, 7. Can't find lethal. I feel like I might as well soak up the rest of their mana, so they can't cast anything else in their hand this turn. Just in case of something else here, because now we're hitting for 7 still. Putting them down to 2 now. But we don't have a way to find lethal. We would have had lethal had I played my artifact last turn for Ingenious Smith. This way we have 1 damage off from lethal. So the sequencing matters a lot here. They might find an out. Looks like a no to me. We just say good game, and good game it is. That is our 3rd win now. We'll see what cosmetic reward we get. This could be any cosmetic, I believe. So all I hope for whenever I get these cosmetic rewards is just anything but a Parallax card style. The Parallax card styles are the 3D kind of like you move the card around and it jiggles, that I'm not a huge fan of. But I like all the other card styles, and I enjoy sleeves and avatars and stuff. So let's see what the final prize is for the day. Final cosmetic reward. Ooh, it is a card sleeve. Very nice. Cool. I was tempering my expectations big time, because the last 2 Midweek Magic events I just got a Parallax card style. But that's really cool. That's an Ulamog sleeve. I don't know when or how you get this sleeve generally, but I'll take it as the random sleeve reward for the day. Nice. Yeah, and I might even use that sometime if I ever make an Eldrazi deck, so very cool reward. Nice way to end out the Midweek Magic event. But again, highly recommend the event for anybody who wants to try out historic decks. As you can see, I already locked in this Azorius Affinity deck, but let's say I wanted to test out some other deck. I'll just go with this historic Artisan Green-Blue deck. You can just swap the deck and keep playing. It does not lock your deck in like normal constructed decks do, so you can try out a little bit of everything that's available in historic, and you can probably try out some more on-meta, more powerful decks than the Historic Affinity. I definitely think Historic Affinity, it was fun, but it did seem a little bit slow compared to what some of the competition is able of doing. So if I was going to play some Historic, maybe some Historic Affinity, I'd probably change the list around a little bit at the very least, try to get a little more aggressive, throw some Stonecoil Serpents in there or something like that. But yeah, that is going to end it for today's video. As always, if you enjoy these videos or Magic Arena videos in general, I do videos almost daily here, mostly a lot of drafts, but we do the Midweek Magic events and other little free events like that as well, or just cool events. Momir is definitely a big one for me. But yeah, if you enjoy this stuff, just stick around on the channel. You can also check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. I tend to stream on Wednesday and Friday evenings or afternoons. And other than that, just once again, thank you all very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.